friends. Today I wanted to talk about what has helped me through weight gain in recovery, bloating, and what helps me challenge my biggest fear food. So my first thing that has helped me is kind of like 3 parts. It all has to do with clothing. So number 1, I feel like I started to get a relationship with my clothes really based on how they fit me. Well, certain clothes. It was almost like some clothes I only wore because they started to fit me looser. So it was kind of a way to feed my eating disorder and my disordered thinking. There was like a point when I started gaining weight that I decided that I just needed to get rid of all my clothes that I had a toxic relationship with. Any clothes that made me overanalyze my body and think about how they were fitting me and how I was looking in them. I decided I just needed to either donate them or sell them online and just be done. And then getting new clothes based on comfort. That's a really big thing for me now, is thinking about clothes and how I feel in them rather than how I look in them. That doesn't mean just wearing sweats and a sweatshirt every day. It could also mean some days I put on a crop top and I'm comfy in that, and then I'll get an intrusive thought that's like, should I just throw on a big sweatshirt over it though? So really, I was most comfortable just wearing the crop top, so just going with the crop top. Not overanalyzing and thinking, well, my tummy is showing, or I have rolls, or whatever. Just thinking like, I feel good in this, so I'm gonna wear this. When I put on clothes in the morning, or when I go to get new clothes or whatever, thinking, how do I feel in this physically? Not how do I look in this? What are people gonna think of me? Just how do I feel? Another part of the clothing thing is wearing looser clothing. I'm like having a hard time putting this into words because it's not that I'm saying wear looser clothing, don't embrace your body and hide, because I feel like there were days that I would put on big sweatshirts and sweats because I just wanted to hide the fact that I was gaining weight or the fact that I was recovering at all. And so I don't mean wear looser clothing as a way to hide. I more mean when I was experiencing digestive issues and bloating at the beginning of recovery, I noticed that, and actually not just on days where I was experiencing bloating, there were just days where I was so aware of my body, and I noticed that when I wore tighter clothing, it really just made it worse. Even like wearing a sports bra just made it worse because I could really feel my whole body, if that makes sense. Like I was so aware of it, so I couldn't get out of my head. And the only thing that would really help was wearing a big sweatshirt or sweats, because it's like I'm just comfy and I'm not thinking about how this fits me, because it's not so form-fitting and not feel like the sensation of tight clothing. But then another tip, see, this is why the clothing thing is just like so many parts. Even as I was gaining weight, making it a point that some of the clothes I bought weren't just oversized sweatshirts and baggy sweats, you know, like making it a point to get like cuter clothing and dresses and skirts and stuff like that, because it's important for me to feel comfortable every day. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like I'm completely avoiding any sort of form-fitting clothing because I'm trying to ignore my body. It's just on really bad days where I'm so focused on my body, it helps to wear big clothes, comfy clothes. But on days maybe where I feel better, embracing that and putting on a crop top or putting on a skirt or whatever, and just feeling like I'm accepting the way that I am. I hope that that made sense. Not looking in the mirror all the time. It kind of more is the idea of not body checking and not over analyzing the way that I look. But I noticed that if there was a mirror around, or even like a window or whatever, it was habit for me to do that. So what I actually did is I took the full-length mirror out of my room, because I noticed that I was over analyzing the way that I looked in clothing, or just the way that my body looked as I was changing, or the way I looked when I slouched. It was just too much body checking. At first, when I thought of taking the full-length mirror out of my room, I was like, is that counterproductive? Because then I'm just avoiding my body image because I hate it so much that I'm just like not accepting it at all. But what I realized, it just wasn't benefiting me at that point in time, seeing myself constantly in the mirror and seeing my body. What it did, taking the full-length mirror out of my room, is it actually just helped me not think about it so much, and it kind of helped just relieve my thoughts. It's not there, I'm not thinking about it, I can focus on other things. But I also had to consciously tell myself, if I was at the mall or if I was walking by a car, you know, and like you're looking at yourself in the window or whatever, I had to consciously tell myself and get myself to stop doing that. Like if I saw a window coming up, I'd be like, we're just gonna look ahead, we're not gonna look in the window. Next thing is doing things that don't make me think about my body. Sometimes being social out or going somewhere where your picture's gonna be taken, or being in public would make me think about the way that I looked a lot. So I found that doing activities and things that don't make me think about the way that I look, whether it was a craft or baking or going outside and gardening or something, decorating the place, they were just ways that I did things that I really enjoyed doing, and they didn't make me think about my body at all. It wasn't something where it's like, I wonder how I look right now. Something where I could get out of my head, kind of channeling the creative part of my brain and the fun part of my brain rather than these toxic and intrusive thoughts. Oh, and another thing that I would do is watching YouTube and other people going through recovery. I felt like until I started really looking for recovery information, all the information I consumed online was having to do with diet culture or body image or the way that people looked or something like that, which just was really bad for me. So I noticed the more I started looking for recovery information, the more I realized I wasn't alone, and it was actually really comforting. Weight gain and bloating and bad body image days are just a part of it. It's a natural part of recovery, and I'm not the only one going through it, and I am gonna get through it. I felt like when I would get thoughts like, well, maybe you should just do this or restrict or like go back to eating disorder thoughts and compulsions, it kind of felt like that was just the right thing to do because those thoughts just become so powerful, and because I was used to following those kinds of thoughts for so long that it feels like that's the correct thing to do. It feels like your true voice telling you to do the right thing, like don't restrict, don't go back to those thoughts. It feels like that's wrong and the intrusive thoughts are right. So seeing somebody else challenging those thoughts and feeling the same way makes me realize, oh, those aren't my thoughts. Like somebody else is experiencing this too. Not feeling sick enough is such an issue, and seeing other people challenging thoughts that you also have is just kind of reassuring, like this is real. Other people are going through this and this is really real, and you gotta keep going. Now I'm gonna talk about just a couple of things that have helped me conquer my biggest fear foods, because I talk about this in another video, but for a really long time I was just kind of in like a quasi-recovery stage, and I wasn't really doing big fear food challenges or challenging any of my really scary food rules. So I've really only started like an all-in recovery process over the last couple of months. I guess it started with animal products because that was something where it wasn't just a food I was restricting. It was a food that, because I had a vegan label on my diet, I never thought I would eat those foods again in my life. The way I started conquering those, and the easiest way I think to do it, was eating out, because when I'm at home or when I'm grocery shopping, it's still really hard for me to buy something without looking at the ingredients, or when I'm at home making something, it's hard for me still to not manipulate it in some way so that it's using an alternative ingredient, like using something that's gluten-free rather than not, whatever. It's still hard for me to totally challenge my intrusive thoughts when I'm at home or if I'm making something myself. But when I'm eating out, it's a lot easier for me to just order something and be done with it, and then when it comes I just eat it, and not manipulating anything about the order either. So if I'm ordering something and it comes with whipped cream on top, maybe in the past I might say no whipped cream or make it vegan or whatever, and not manipulating anything about it, just ordering whatever is on the menu, unless of course you don't like something like pickles and you get no pickles. And then also challenging every bad thought when it has to do with food in like an exposure therapy type manner. So basically every time I get a scary thought or a fear, challenging it. So thinking, oh, I want peanut butter, and then, oh, I should have cashew butter over peanut butter for some reason, and then having the peanut butter because that's what I initially wanted. And it's not just that I'm consciously thinking, oh, now peanut butter is less scary. It's that I'm actually rewiring my thoughts in a way where I'm going with my intuition rather than going with the intrusive thought that followed. When I'm eating out, not thinking and over analyzing the menu and thinking, oh, what has the least calories, what is going to be the best for me, whatever, just thinking what sounds the best, like not reading the ingredients or anything, reading just the name of it. Or when you're buying packaged food at the grocery store, what sounds the best, like what flavor sounds the best, and then just buying it and not looking at the ingredients. So kind of being more spontaneous or like intuitive with things the best that I can, that really helps me. I've also noticed that once I do that, it does make it easier buying the thing or making it at home. For example, I bought like a frozen pizza the other day. I didn't look at the ingredients or anything, just put it in the oven and ate it. Now I feel more capable of maybe making a pizza on my own and seeing everything that's in it because my camera died. I think I just have really one more thing to say, and it's just a couple of things that I tell myself that kind of helped me on bad body image days, helped me through this journey and recovery process. Everything is temporary. I feel like this is kind of like a common thing to say generally, and I feel like I see quotes about everything is temporary, and I never really understood that or felt that until now. All around, I feel like my life is changing, so not getting so attached to my body or my skin or whatever, because it seriously changes every single day. Like, I could wake up this morning and my skin is perfectly clear, and tomorrow I could have a breakout, and there's no reason to feel like it's the end of the world, which is something that I used to do. Like, I would stay home, I wouldn't see anybody. Now I realize that my life is changing every single day, and there's no reason to get super attached to the way that my body looks today or fearing how it's gonna look tomorrow, because everything is temporary, and I just need to love myself in all forms and love myself no matter what happens or what changes. And then, I know my camera's about to die again. The last thing, my life doesn't depend on how my body looks. My life depends on how my body feels. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you connected with some part of it in any way, comment and we can talk and we can be friends. Go do something that you love. Go eat something that you like. Maybe an ice cream sandwich.